Hi, Colette. Thank you again for joining me on the road to recovery. I really appreciate you being here today. Thank you for joining us. Are you safe? Are you
Yes,
sheltering in place?
ma'am. I have been sheltered for a good 4 weeks now. So,
Wow, wow, wow. Well, I thank you for being a resource to the business community and being here today. And I just want to share with the audience that the information that's being presented today and discussed during our talk is for information purposes only. It is not legal, tax, or financial advice of any kind, nor shall it be thought of. It is presented as is without warranty or any other kind of express or implied interest. And each one of our guests is sharing at they're not from their knowledge base. Okay. And Colette, thank you for joining us again, is from the Pacific Coast Regional, a small business development center here in Los Angeles. And Colette, if you want to tell us a little bit more about the service and what the PCR does, if you will.
all right. Well, PCR has been around for over 40 years, providing services to the small business community with a special interest of those that have been underserved. And so, as a small business development center, we are a resource partner with the SBA, the Small Business Administration, so part of the federal chain. And in so doing, there are 1,000 centers around the country. There are 9 in the LA area, and we are one of those. And we have 2 locations, one on Wilshire and then also in the beautiful Center for Sustainable Communities in Compton.
Yeah.
In terms of the service that we provide, there are 3 key pillars that we have. One is consulting, the other is training and webinars, those types, and then also lending. So PCR is actually a small business lender, and we provide a variety of loans that maybe the larger banks won't typically perform. Our services on the consulting and training are typically no charge, no fuss, no charge, unless there is a fee required where it's for materials or something like that for a class.
Okay, but in essence, the services are free and available to anyone that signs up to become a client of
Yes,
Pacific Coast Regional.
yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for doing that. What advice would you give to business owners right now? And I mean, I'm going to ask you for that advice 2 ways. I'm going to ask you first in a word. If
Mhm.
you were to just take the temperature of where we are economically and in the lending community, what would be your word? How would you best describe
My
it?
word would be challenging.
Oh, wow. Okay. That bottles up a whole bunch of other questions for me, which I hope we have time for a lot of them. So then how could you best help us digest all the information that's available right now?
And so that's one of the things actually that we are doing, because there is so much information and it's changing daily, whether it's related to the SBA idle loans or the PPP programs that people are hearing about, lending programs, their grant programs, employment programs, tax deferment programs. There's so much going on. One of the things we've been hoping and working to do is to consolidate that information and to share it with our clients and people that need the information so that they can go forth and make decisions based on their own business needs in coordination with our advisors. So those are the 2 pieces. So it's information, and then as it relates to the specifics of your business, then you can meet with an advisor and work through those things. So we're looking for, what do you do now, in the short term, and then what is your long-term outlook going to be? So what do? We want to help you assess your business. What is your cash flow like? What does your lease look like? What are your opportunities to negotiate on the lease? What is your insurance? Have you filed a claim? Maybe you should. What kind of debt do you have? Can you get supplies if you're still open? What can you
Right.
do, and
Right.
how has that changed in the short term? So
So what I hear you saying is that there isn't a one size fits all.
no.
That even with the masses of information that's available, it's still going to take some individual TLC, I guess, if you will,
Yes.
business by business. So then the shotgun approach, apply for everything, put your name down on everything. What's your take on that? Or how are you helping people filter through that information?
It's funny, we are doing a daily class now that helps people work through the details of the 2 primary loans that came out of the CARE Act program. So the first one is the emergency injury disaster loan,
Yes.
and then the other one is the Paycheck Protection Program, so the EIDL and the PPP. And so we are doing a daily class to help people navigate the details and then ask us questions about that. So that's the shotgun piece. But then we assign them to an advisor for follow-up. And And so that advisor, they can ask additional questions. They can say, what does this mean for my specific business needs? But the shotgun we are doing in terms of training, just to get the basic information out, because we don't want people to be left behind, not really understanding. So it's our opportunity for our advisors to provide most up-to-date information. And so hence we're doing it on a daily basis for until things stop changing at the rapid pace of their change.
Yes. Well, that's one of the reasons why I was really honored that you would participate in a venue like this, where you're also bridging a delta, right? In certain communities where the information maybe isn't flowing at a steady stream, or the misinformation. I think in our earlier conversations, you mentioned some of the not so more predatory,
Yes.
not so business owner friendly type organizations that are out there. And so you had a little bit of a PSA announcement when we were talking, if you want to share a little bit of that. And
well, I was saying one of the reasons that, you know, you want to work with an advisor, and we have a lot of ex-bankers on our staff and on our advising staff, and you know, they can assist you kind of in that process of figuring things out and understanding which of the lenders can do certain things. And there are some lenders that are predatory in nature, kind of like paycheck or payday type loans, and or there are credit cards that are like that. There are a variety of tools that people could use, but then the interest is very high and you're caught in a balloon. And so we've had to help people get out of some of those lending activities in the past. And so I expect that now in a crisis mode, the sharks are really coming out,
wow.
you know, to capitalize on urgency from small businesses. So even in the urgency, I believe that small businesses can be smart and be thoughtful and continue to plan in this gap where maybe you're not working in your typical role, but you can learn, you can plan, and you can start really planning for the future.
So there is a road to recovery.
There is a road. Yes. Yes.
So what's the biggest distinction between the funding options? So just maybe clarifying, is there any difference between, say, a Pacific Coast Regional and a bank, between a Pacific Coast Regional and maybe one of the private lending organizations, and the products that you have? Are they, you know, pay back? Do you have grants available? You know, what are the...
So the two of the biggest ones right now, the emergency disaster loan from the SBA is actually funded by the SBA. And it not only is it funded, it's actually being administrated by the SBA. So you're applying directly to the SBA, you're getting your information. They have loan officers that are reviewing your package, and they've just added in a up to $10,000 grant available, but it can also be tied back to the PPP program, which is now opened up for the banks to be able to participate. So the banks are providing the loan, and basically the SBA and the Treasury is acting as a guarantor in terms of inability to pay by the business. So they're kind of a cut. So that's a bank loan. So you've got the SBA government directed, then you have the banks through the SBA, and then you have a company like a small lender like PCR, where we can help small businesses. Sometimes the banks really just don't want to work with the size of the lending that's required for small businesses. So we can do $250,000 and up. Some banks, they prefer to do $250,000 and up. We can do $250,000 and down. So we have some vehicles like a Jumpstart program that's like a $10,000 loan. And that's to help people get off the ground. So start your business. It may just be to help you kind of get started, to get some materials and supplies. So we have some things like that. Then we also have work with a state guarantee program, which is also through a bank. But we have other loans that are available to help with the small businesses to start. And then also now in this disaster type mode that we're in.
Okay. All right. So then now what I heard you say earlier was that some things are SBA guaranteed, which is more like a cosigner, excuse my layman terms, but more like a cosigner. Okay. And then other things are based on the credit worthiness of the business or the business owner. Yes. And then it sounds to me but that you have a variety of products that could help a business that's small, maybe medium or startup versus someone that's been in business for a while as well.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And of course, right now, the focus is a little bit more on the disaster side of it because the rates are a little bit lower, but there's strings attached to that in terms of getting the grant piece. So there are requirements that you have to meet in order to get the grant. Otherwise, it's a loan. But the rates are fairly reasonable. The length of term for the loans are reasonable as well. So, but yeah, there are a variety of loans that or lending sources, and then in this case, we're also trying to provide resource for other lending opportunities, whether it's state, county. So there's a county program, a lending program. Then there's also city programs right now. So we're trying to consolidate all of those and all of those pieces so people can figure out what's going to be the best option for them. How are they able to pay it back? And their credit worthiness, of course, plays a piece, but it's not the only determining factor currently.
Oh. So we've mentioned quite a few resources and we've set the name. How do people best get in touch and access any of the information or a business advisor, like you mentioned before?
So if you are not already a client of Pacific Coast Regional with the SBDC, you can go on to www.pcrsbdc.org and you'll see down near the bottom, there is a click through to set an appointment. If you do that, you will get all of your information. And if you do that, like during this disaster period, we will immediately send you into one of our daily webinars. You'll get all of that great information, and then we'll assign you an advisor. And then you'll be able to participate in the updates that we're doing weekly on Tuesday.
Okay. And then if a business owner has a sense of urgency about lending, what would your advice to them be?
My advice would be to certainly apply for the EIDL loan through the SBA as a start. And now is a good time. They've been talking about money running out, but I would apply and see how your organization could benefit. It's open to every type of business, solopreneur, any type of business that is a business that you're registered in some kind of way, or even contractors can participate. And so I would encourage everyone to apply for that particular loan. And then also if you have employees to apply for the PPP, the Payroll Protection Program. I think if you have 2 or more and they're working to see how that works with the solopreneur.
Solopreneurs. Okay, very thing. And I think both of those applications are open and available.
They are open. The PPP is more difficult because it has to go through a bank, and because some of the determination has not come through yet from the federal side, a lot of banks are not participating yet, or they are only participating with their existing clients. So it's definitely a challenge, but there are some banks. So keep looking online for other options. We have a list of banks that we are finding that are participating, and we're starting to see money come through to the businesses that have applied to both the EIDL and the PPP. So that's great. I know it's good news, actually. It's like, woo, woo. Application worked.
But I have to give you a virtual high five on that one.
So yeah, there is money flowing there. So you can't get it unless you apply. And so I certainly want our communities, your hairstylist can apply, your barber, your laundry, your cleaners, your dentist, your doctor. So make sure that your people in your circle are aware of this type of loans and the resources that are available to them to get help. And we look forward to serving them.
Thank you, Colette. Thank you so much. See, now how do you feel? What's your word now? It's not challenging anymore because that was a lot of information. What's your word now? How do you feel now?
My word is opportunity. So as businesses go forward, you want to really be looking at how your customers have changed during this.
Oh, yes.
You have a business that's in a physical location, you may need to make sure that it's cleaner than it ever has been. You may need to have, hand sanitizers out. You may need to do things differently to accommodate the new ways that people have been operating, working from home, and those types of things. So look at your business. There's opportunity to be had. So keep your minds open, be looking for how you can service customers in a new way, and get the resources that you need, get the help that you need. You might partner with some other people that maybe you hadn't considered partnering with in the past. There are opportunities out there. So open your minds and start being creative, count your cost, and keep good records so that you can get money back if you apply for these loans. So keep good records, and we'll be presenting some work on that, as well as marketing transitions to restart. So yeah, there's opportunity. Got to go find it, and don't be ashamed to get some of the freebies that are out there, because if they're needed for you, then go after them and be persistent in getting what you need.
Yes, we called it strategic persistence in our
Yes.
I think in a nutshell that you have described the road to recovery. And some of the tools and resources that I intend to share on this channel are the retooling, it's the strategy, it's the support. And, it is a very lonely place to operate as a solopreneur when you don't have a sounding board. So I'm inviting people to get out of their heads, get it onto pen and paper, and make those connections. So it's been an honor to introduce them to Pacific Coast Regional. And you, Colette, you are a wealth and a well, and I thank you so much. I'm going to ask that you stay healthy and continue to shelter in place. Thank you so much.
Same for you, Rhonda. It's always a joy to see you as well. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you. All right. Again soon. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.